Welcome back to Sandra Sells Tells, Real Estate, Real People, Real Plymouth. I'm your host, Sandra Smith with Gibson Sotheby's International Realty. And as many of you know, I love highlighting the incredible people and businesses that help make our community thrive. Today's guest is Paul Luzzi from Zebra Visuals, a company that has been helping businesses stand out since 1994.
That's correct.
Based right here in historic Plymouth, Massachusetts, Zebra Visuals specializes in custom business signage, wayfinding systems, donor plaques, and graphics for everything from storefronts to trucks and even boats. Their work supports a wide range of organizations, including restaurants, medical practices, churches, design firms, and local businesses throughout New England and beyond. Because let's face it, sometimes the first impression of a business isn't the service, it's the sign that brings you through the door.
We count on that.
All right, I love it. So welcome to the show,
Thanks.
Paul. I'm excited to have you here.
It's fun to be here.
Very good. So tell us about Zebra Visuals and how the company got started.
Well, by training, am an industrial designer.
Okay.
And the first part of my career, I was a store designer for retail store chains in New England. And around the turn of the century, believe it or not, those chains started to either get bought up by national companies or they went bankrupt. And I can tell you some of the ones we served were like Filing's Basement, Stride Right Shoes, Nature Food Centers. And you'd think that those are permanent fixtures in New England, but they just kept getting bought up by national companies. Wow. So the regional chain became very hard to come by, very few. There's a few left. Staples is one that's based in New England. TJ Maxx, based in New England.
I did not know both of those were based in New England.
Yes, but the others, they're all either, somewhere in the country, but not in New England anymore.
Okay, fun fact.
So we had to pivot. The company started as Zebra Design because we were a design firm. We designed those retail stores.
Okay.
And as part of that, we made signs. Because when you design a retail store, if you ever go in a retail store that has no signs, you would find that shocking, I'm sure.
Yes.
So when we design a store, we always had a sign shop that could prototype the signs and then eventually make them in production. When those chains started to disappear, we moved to Plymouth in 2001, and we opened our storefront so that people could come in. Before that, we were in an old factory building in 6,000 square feet, and nobody knew us.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because, if you knew us, you knew us.
Gotcha.
Once we moved into Plymouth, we said, okay, downtown Plymouth was, we were right on Water Street. I'm sure you remember
right on the corner
our
there.
building, which was recently sadly torn down.
Sad to see you leave that great location.
Well, it was sad for us to leave. We're in the industrial park now.
Okay.
And it's been good for us to move. We missed the waterfront. We missed the vibrancy and the people walking by and we missed the whole vibe.
Yeah.
And eating lunch in the park. We miss all of that.
Yeah.
But it's much easier to work in the industrial park.
All right. That's good.
Much more space, much more easy to use space.
When you guys had to make that pivot, is that when you started to specialize in the visual branding for businesses?
Well, we always did that.
Okay.
What
so
the real
pivot
was, picture Filing's Basement.
Yep.
There was a large, I'll call it regional chain, but I mean, we did stores for them in Washington, D.C., in Chicago, so not quite regional, but they were based in Boston.
Yep.
The original Filing's Basement in downtown Boston. When you have a customer like that, it's a very different kind of branding and work that you do than you do for so-and-so's sandwich shop. And we had to learn how to treat a small business like we treated our large businesses. And I think that's what
makes sense.
I think that's what made us different in the sign business is because we were used to dealing with very large customers. When we pivoted to much smaller customers, we still brought what I call the skills in the design sense of the larger chains, but we brought it to smaller businesses.
Which I think is huge because I think so many people underestimate how important the signage is. So as you know, and we all do, a good sign is a powerful marketing tool for businesses. So I'm sure there's some people that don't want that big sign, but we all know and I'm a visual person already to begin with, but most people, you recognize a store by seeing that first sign.
We have a different expression that we use. We would not say a big sign, because size in this case really doesn't really matter.
Yeah, okay.
In the store retail design, we had a thing called you can't beat square feet. You may have that in real estate. It's very hard to do in 1,000 square feet what you could do in 2.
Very true.
But in signing, it's more effectiveness and feel.
Oh, I like that.
When you're walking down Main Street and you have to decide where you want to eat dinner tonight. You're new to the area, or you're in Plymouth, you're a tourist. You're walking down Main Street. What makes you pull into this one versus that one? Yes, you can look on your phone and get reviews, and you can do all of that. But you're walking. We're the three-dimensional, real-world marketing system. We're online, but we use digital tools, but we make real things. So we're in the real world. You're walking down the street. What makes you want to turn into that restaurant?
I love that. So do you think you help businesses that might be making some common mistakes when designing their own signs? You kind of help them like, hey, this is what's going to draw people in?
We try our best.
All right.
We really do.
Well, that's all we can do.
Well, I would say that, we've say in our marketing that we really do care for each of the customers that we work with.
Yep.
And we bring that to you. And we have a level of expertise from having done this for over 30 years.
Very true.
The frustration we run into is everyone can design something on their phone these days, and they do.
Especially now with ChatGPT.
Well, with ChatGPT, with Canva, with there's all kinds of things you can do on your phone, and we're not diminishing that. We're just saying that it isn't always the most effective way to bring people into your shop or store or restaurant.
Very true. So how much would you say location and visibility influence the design of a sign?
Well, I'm going to bet that you use this phrase in real estate too. What's the most important thing about your space? Location. What's second? Location. What's third?
Location.
There you go.
I like it. I like the tie into real estate too. Thank you so much.
Well, when I was doing store planning and we would choose sites for a retail chain, we would always say there's the location, there's accessibility, and there's visibility. And if you don't have those three things, you struggle.
Yeah.
Now, a small business starting out rarely gets those three things. If they can get two of them, they should be thrilled. If you look at where we were on Water Street, right on the corner.
Yep.
As you came down Water Street, if you didn't turn, you'd come right in our front door.
Right. Everybody saw it as you.
That was not a coincidence of us choosing that location.
You planned it.
We knew that it was highly visible. We weren't known here at the time, so we needed a visible location, and that did it. And then we put a sign over the door, and people didn't quite know what we did because it doesn't say zebra signs.
No, it says visuals.
And it does that for a reason, because we do a lot more than signs. If you look at some of our recent work on Main Street and Court Street, you'll see that very often we'll be asked to put a sign on a storefront, and we'll look at the storefront and say, this storefront doesn't feel right for your business. A very recent example is Second Wind Brewery on Main Street.
Yes.
That was a yellow building with red shutters. It looked residential. And a brewery is moving into the entire first floor. Does that building look like it belongs to a brewery?
It does not.
It looked like it's an apartment. In fact, it is apartments on the second and third floors.
Right.
The first thing we did was recommend that they paint the building. Now, we have no skin in that game. We don't get paid to paint a building. We don't paint the building. We select the colors. We design the color scheme. We get it approved through the Historic Commission. We love working with a client that is open to a little more than a sign. Tying to real estate, that's like when I go into a house and say, you're getting ready to sell it, these are some things that you should work on or spend your money on or do things like that. So I love that you guys go that extra mile or step
to really help them. Like, okay, if you want to really bring them in and make it stand out, we recommend you paint this or you do this.
Yeah.
And it is great when they're open. You kind of touched on that you deal with, let's talk about permits, because I know something downtown, you can't just throw up any sign. They've got to go through a process in order to get that. So you talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Well, you really can't do that anywhere. It's just that in certain areas it's harder than others. Plymouth is not easy.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, this is, and I'm not talking out of school because I met with the new planning director's office just a few weeks ago, and we talked about this. Plymouth's sign code is newly revised to be shorter, and it's still about 5 times longer than the city of Boston's.
Wow.
And it has all of these permutations that you have to understand. And then when you go into the downtown area, which is in the historic district, you need approval by the Historic District Commission, which has their own set of guidelines layered on top. So it can take 3 to 4 months from the day you walk into our office saying, I need a sign, to the time we put that sign on the wall.
To get all of those approvals and do it the proper way. Wow.
Yeah. And when we take when I say the step of let's improve your storefront, I mean another recent example on Main Street was the new Kogi restaurant.
Yep.
Which was a purple building. And when we met him, we met the owners. They came in and talked about this motif that they liked, which was a Korean motif. And we researched colors that are appropriate for a Korean motif. And we came up with a deep blue, an orange, and a light tan. We didn't really have a place to use the tan, but if you notice the storefront, we had them paint the building the deep blue.
Yeah, I have noticed it, and I think it looks really nice.
We freshened up the trim, and we put the pattern, that motif pattern you'll see to the left and right of their sign.
Yep.
The only part of that storefront that is a sign is the word Kogi in the middle. But we take the whole building approach to say we need to invite you into this space. Hopefully, what you see when you walk in is reflective of what we showed outside.
Yeah.
But it really, if you're thinking about it, what do you go by? You're not going by the words.
No.
People, and this is a mistake small businesses make all the time, they want 28 words on their sign.
People don't read that.
No.
We don't have that attention span to read all of that.
There's kind of a rule of thumb that says the most you should ever have on there is 6.
Okay, good to know. Do you hear that, people out there? 6 is the most you should have on a sign.
And think of your larger stores. How many do they have?
Like 1.
Their name.
Yeah.
How many words are on Home Depot's storefront? 2. Home and Depot.
Yeah.
Not lumber, sticks, boards, plumbing. Forget that.
Yeah, think of all the big names like that. You're absolutely right. So there's a lot more that comes into that, and I love your approach on the visual branding to actually draw people in, which is a lot of things that people don't. So would you say that's probably what most anybody opening up a new business, that's what they should prioritize first, is like that first, because first impressions are everything. I say that all the time.
Yes.
Same with curb appeal on a house. They're driving by, they saw it online, but they drive by and you got stuff in the yard or weeds or, you know.
You have to think of who you're trying to bring into your location.
Yep.
If what you're trying to bring into your location is people who don't want to spend a bunch of money, then don't spend much money on your sign. I mean, it really works very well. I mean, it's like, I'm not saying you have to spend a fortune on your sign. I don't. There's very many times we recommend inexpensive signs for people. If you need to say restroom, and all you need to know is make sure they don't walk into the closet, then you just need a sign that says restroom. If you want people to walk into a restaurant, then you need to appeal to them in a certain way. And saving money on your sign over the life of the building that you're in, if you have a 3-year, 5-year lease, it's almost nothing. You know, like we haven't talked about vehicles. We don't do a lot of vehicles.
Yep.
But when we do them, we tell you very simply, there's no less expensive advertising that you will ever find.
Then putting it on you. So that we're talking about like truck lettering and boat lettering and like wrapping the car. You see businesses and their cars are wrapped. You think that's an inexpensive approach to get your name? Okay. And you guys do that.
And we do it. And, I remember when I moved to Plymouth, this was a funny one. This is back again around the turn of, around 2002. Yeah. We started doing work. We were asked to do the work for the new Plymouth County Registry of Deeds on Oberry Street.
Yeah.
And I asked the registrar, I said, how did you find us? And he said, I saw your truck. I'm thinking, no, you knew me because I was in town meeting and I was the head of the precinct chairs and I knew the selectmen and you must have known me. No, we saw your truck.
Wow. Yeah.
So once our truck was black with black zebra stripes on it. And
it stood out.
It stood out and he saw it and they called us and we ended up doing the Plymouth County. We still do. All the registry, all the Plymouth County work.
Powerful way to advertise.
It really is.
So that's a good testament there and firsthand that you guys did that too. So that's great. Well, what would you say is one of the most unusual projects you guys have worked on?
Unusual?
Yeah.
I think one of the ones, every now and again, and I only do a couple a year that I say really stand out to me. And in the last year, the most unusual one I did was for a church in Marshfield.
All right.
It's a church called Sanctuary. And it has a lovely logo, believe it or not. We didn't design the logo. The pastor did.
Okay.
But it looks like the pin mark on Google Maps.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It has a little path running through it. And it's a place with a path. So it's a pathway to a place.
Sounds like a sanctuary.
And it gives that feeling. And the pastor wanted the sign to look like it was coming out of the ground. The church is on a hill, and he wanted it to look like it was coming out of that hill.
Wow. I'm going to have to do a drive-by.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it on our website, too. I'm sure right now it's right at the top of our website because it really evokes the feeling that they were trying to achieve, and it gets people walking by to look at it. I mean, the church was built in the mid-20th century, and he wanted this to have a 20th century feel, yet be contemporary. So when I put all this together, you're like, what's in your mind? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
You have to see it.
Yeah.
But it's really lovely.
I'm definitely going to check that out. But I love that it's not just, a sign that you throw on the wall. Or on your storefront. There's so much more that's taken into it that I think people don't take into consideration.
No, they don't.
And I love the mobile, because you see those cars, but you can always remember it. Somebody asked me the other day about a cleaning company, and I'm like, oh, you see their cars, and it's Shine Bright, right?
That's right.
I know other cleaning companies, but I'm like, they're like, oh yeah, I've seen that car.
I think we're doing their office tomorrow.
Oh, are you? Yeah. Oh, that's fun. And I know they have a ribbon cutting coming up too because of their new office. Oh, okay. That's great that you do so many local businesses. Aside from you're in historic Plymouth and you do a lot of Plymouth. You had said before you were across New England. Do you still do outside of the South Shore, all over New England?
Yes, I wouldn't say all over New England.
Okay.
We ship signs all over the country.
Okay.
But for installations, I would say Massachusetts, Rhode Island, a little bit in Connecticut. We do quite a lot of work in Rhode Island.
Wow, great.
We do the Newport mansions.
No way.
Yeah, we do their
fun facts.
We do a lot of their identity signs.
Wow.
And some of their exhibit designs that we do there. We do all their donor plaques.
You guys are a big deal.
Well, we can be at times.
I like it. So how would you say technology is changing the signage world?
Well, there's the good and the bad.
Okay.
On the production side, it's all good. And I miss some of the old stuff. Like even just yesterday, someone from the Plymouth Historic Commission was in, not the district, but it's a new group called the Plymouth Historic Commission. It's the whole town. And they want to be able to provide historic plaques to homes. Oh. And you've seen them.
Very nice.
Many towns have. Yep. You haven't seen many or any in Plymouth, but you see them in other towns. But they need the homeowner to buy them, so they have to be inexpensive. And the catch is, how do we do that in the historic district, which requires hand-painted signs?
Oh.
You can't do that affordably anymore because we don't have any hand lettering sign writers. Some other sign companies may. I'm not aware of any, but we had 2, and both of them have retired. So,
oh gosh.
So it gets harder and harder to do that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, technology lets us do amazing things much easier and less expensively than we used to do. The only way you got signs cheaply before is because a guy would be working in his garage and just pick up a paintbrush and paint it for you, and it didn't cost much.
Yeah, that's very true.
We're in a very different world now. So that's the good. We also do things like we render all the signs we do very realistically before we make them. So when I show you a picture of Kogi today and I show you the drawings we did prior to doing it, I can't even tell which is which sometimes.
That's amazing. So people are able to see that before they're like, okay, let's go forward
and technology
and make
makes
any changes or...
Yes, and technology makes that much easier for us to do now than it did even 5 years ago.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You've seen the ads on TV where I can just circle you and take you out of a picture.
Yes.
We can circle your old sign, take it out, and then we can plunk your new one in.
That's fantastic.
So we do that, and it helps a lot. Now, the downside of technology today, and it's not a downside, but it's a frustration for sign makers, especially ones who care deeply about the design of signs, is you could design your sign today on your phone. You know that.
Yep.
It might be good and it might be terrible. And people don't understand that for me to get that from your phone to on your building is actually harder than for me to design it from scratch.
Oh, no kidding.
Using our systems.
Wow. Well, I'm sure you guys have a pretty unique system that's, geared towards...
It's a professional design system.
Yeah.
And once we design it,
which is not something the average Joe would have on their phone.
No, because if you've heard the expression CAD CAM in manufacturing, it means it's designed on a computer and manufactured by a computer, which means once it's designed on the computer, it's ready to make. The machines know what to do.
Yeah.
When you design it on your phone and hand it to us, we have to figure out how do we get this makeable, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's very, very difficult. And they don't understand why. Customers, and I don't expect them to.
Yep.
And I don't blame them for doing it either. I just explain that it makes it harder on our end to make the sign.
So you can kind of get the idea of what they brought you, but it's not going to look exactly like what they created themselves.
We literally have to then try to re-engineer it.
So you would probably recommend if somebody's thinking of creating a sign and designing, they can have those ideas, but bring them to you, and it might be easier for you guys to design that and see if it's one that they approve or like or add or change or...
Yeah, what we would recommend is what we would call inspiration photos.
Okay.
You like this, you think this would look great, take that, and instead of going to your phone and making your version of it, show us those inspiration photos so that we know what you're thinking of. We may not agree with you at all times, but if we do, we can take your inspirations and deliver what you are looking for.
I like that. Inspiration photos. This has been super informative. There's so much more behind.
You didn't know this, huh?
I did not know all of this. I knew you did like a lot, and I've seen your signs out and about, and that's why I wanted to have you guys on here. But how can people reach you if they're thinking of making a change or starting a business and, just need a refresh on their signage?
The easiest way is just to go to our website, which is zebravisuals.com.
Zebravisuals.com.
Right. And on there, you'll find all the information you need on how to reach us. We are in the industrial park, so we're kind of semi-hidden again.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say just look for us and walk in, but I'd say look at that, and our full contact info is on there along with forms if there's anything in particular you wanted to talk about.
Right, and we can see some of your work that you've done, because I definitely am going to check that out to see the church in Marshfield. I want to see how that is.
You should. It's really nice.
I'm definitely going to do that. All right, that's fantastic. So I always end my podcast with a key of the week, tie in real estate. So this week, and I never know how our conversation is going to go. I have a kind of an idea, but I always create the key of the week before, and this is what I had. And I think it's going to go right hand in hand with what we've talked about today. My key of the week this week is visibility. Whether you're a small business, a nonprofit, or even a home for sale, if people can't see you, they can't find you. Your signage and branding are often the first impression that people get. So, Paul, it has been a pleasure to have you on here. I appreciate you joining me and sharing signage, visibility, and how to make it happen, and all the behind the scenes that you guys actually do and take into consideration. So when I notice those signs, especially on Main Street, that I know you've helped them change with the color or the paint and all of that, there's so much more than just the sign. So I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was fun talking to you.
Oh, good. I know. I loved it. So today we learned how something as simple as a sign can tell the story of a business before someone even walks through the door. To everyone listening, whether you're a homeowner, future investor, or just curious about how the market works, I hope today's conversation gave you a little more insight into signage and being noticed wherever you go. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, subscribe, and share with someone who might find it helpful. And if you're thinking about buying or selling or even exploring real estate on the South Shore, I'm always here to connect. Until next time, this is Sandra Smith reminding you that real estate is more than houses. It's about people, stories, and the communities we call home.